Sekian lama baru ku menyadari mengapa ku selalu menahan rasa sakitku. Kian lama ingin ku hapus saja semua dendam ini, tapi rasa tak mungkin lagi. Biarkan ku pergi, karena aku tak sanggup lagi mengingat semua kenangan dulu di saat engkau menyakitiku. Mengapa semua terjadi di saat kau mulai menyadari semua kesalahanmu padaku, tapi ku tak sanggup lagi. Ku akui sekarang engkau mulai berubah, namun rasa tak mungkin lagi. Biarkan ku pergi, karena aku tak sanggup lagi mengingat semua kenangan dulu di saat engkau menyakitiku. Mengapa semua terjadi di saat kau mulai menyadari
So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And welcome to the 5th week of the 7th seminar on translation 2020. I'm Moranda, and I will be the chair for today's event. So before we start, first of all, I would like to thank all of the presenters and participants for joining us today. Secondly, I would like to inform you that there will be 3 presenters from Sanata Dharma University for today's event, and each presenter will be given 20 minutes to deliver their presentations. And after that, there will be a Q&A sections, which will be held for also 20 minutes. And so for the Q&A sections, the student judges will deliver their questions first, and after that, followed by the audience. And the audience can deliver their question either through the chat room, or you can just turn on your microphone and ask the presenter directly. So the Q&A will be held after each presenter is done. And so without any further ado, I would like to invite our first presenter, Niar Puji, who will be presenting her paper on an error analysis of English translations in Indonesian drama Rumah Kasih, episode 3, transcript on YouTube. So Niar, the screen is yours.
So, good morning, guys. Why can I start my... So first of all, I want to say sorry because I put the wrong paper, so you receive the unfinished version. But let's move on. So I will deliver an error analysis of English translation in Indonesian drama Rumah Kasih di final episode transcript on YouTube. Drama is a play that can be performed for theater, radio, or even television. These plays are usually written in out as a script or in written version actors, but not the audience. And the next is translation. Translation is a process of changing an original text from one to another language. Nowadays, translation play some important roles in almost every aspect of human life. Since its role become more vital, the quality of the result of translation should be qualified as well. Doing translation is not an easy task. It is a combination between skill and art, and there are many translators do some error in translating. This research aims to find out the type of error experienced by the translator in translating transcript of Rumah Kasih office, the final episode of Rumah Kasih on YouTube. YouTube is one of the most preferred platforms for watching videos across the world. There are many different languages in the world, and therefore translation is needed to connect people with different language. One of the form of translation is subtitle. Subtitle will help the audience to understand the context of the video, so it must be understandable for the target. Next is my problem formulation. Problem formulation, the first is what are the error? The cause of error in translating transcript of Indonesian drama Rumah Kasih from Indonesia to English subtitle. And the second is what kinds of error must probably found in English subtitle in drama Rumah Kasih. These are my research objectives. First is to assess and find out the errors and cause of error on Rumah Kasih drama transcript in translating English from Indonesian. And the second is to find out kind of error most probably found on Rumah Kasih. I choose the Akil theory, and he stated that there is 5 kinds of translation. First is inversion of meaning. So what is the inversion of meaning? Is the expression of meaning of the search language text in another way around. In this case, the target language's intention contradicts with that source of language. The next is addition of meaning. The inclusion of intention or ideas which are not mentioned or implied in the search language. In the other word, the intention of the search language is prudent. Next is omission of meaning. The exclusion of idea or ideas of the source language in the target language so that the intention of the source language is not completely transferred. Next is deviation of meaning, the diversion of the intention of the source language to other notion. And the last is modification of meaning, the expression of the intention of the source language, into an unclear form. The methodology, the area of research is text analysis and translation research. It analyzes both of the source text and target text. The analysis includes the translation problems in both texts, in this case, the error and the cause of error and the types of error. And the object of the study research were the Indonesian drama Rumah Kasih episode terakhir, the final episode from Mob channel on YouTube. The method of the study is library research method for understanding the error and the cause of error and the types of error. This is my research procedure. Objective data, which consisted of all Indonesian text from Rumah Kasih and English subtitle from Rumah Kasih. This is the step. So the first step is collecting data was by watching the Rumah Kasih episode terakhir, and the second step is collecting data from the drama, both the Indonesian script and English subtitle, and then classifying the data which is found in both the Indonesian script and English subtitle, analyzing the error, cause of error, type of error from both the Indonesian script and English subtitle, and making the conclusion and giving the suggestion. The population for this research were all the Indonesian script and English subtitle in the drama, and the sample were all the error of English subtitle in the drama. And this is the result and some example. As I mentioned it before, you already know what is the error of inversion, and this is the sample. In search language, it states aku nggak boleh kecapean, and it's translated into I may not be tired too. The aku nggak boleh kecapean is translated into I may be not tired too, and the expression of meaning of the search language text which target languages intention contradict with the source language. The correct translation of aku nggak boleh kecapean is I'm not supposed to get tired. So here I might not be tired. So here the target language were contradict with the intention of the search of language. And the next is error of omission. It is said in search language is kakak pergi ke kantor dulu ya, then it's translated into the data that shown the word kakak here is omitted in the target language because it become want to go to the office. In the drama, the word kakak is referred to I. So the right translation, it should be I want to go to the office. So that's the sample of error of omission. Next is error of modification. There's a lot error of modification in the final episode of Rumah Kasih. And this is the sample. Peto, Mas Rudi, ayo berenang, and it translated into Peto, Mas Rudi, let's swim. It was seen from the data that the word mas in search language is translated into mas in target language. The expression word in search language, which when it translated into target language is unclear because the word mas can make the target reader confused because the word mas does not exist in English language. Next is error of deviation. Error of deviation sample is Hah, in search language, Hah, Kak Kasih udah pergi ke kantor. Then it translated into Hah, sis Kasih left to the office. It could be seen from the datum above that the word Kak is translated into sis. The word sis to define the meaning of sister is not commonly used in English language, and it is not usual to use the term sis to define your sister. In English language, instead of sis kasih, it should be translated into kasih only. The word sis in English language usually refers to the sister church or the nun. The concluding remarks. So the conclusion is The research concludes that translated drama scripts from Indonesian into English language made all kinds of translation error in translating the search language tag into the target language tags. There were errors of modification, errors of deviation, errors of omission and inversion. Then, from the 5 kinds of error, the dominant kind of error is error of modification. So that's all, I guess. Is there any question?
Thank you, Niar, for the presentations. Now we will move to the Q&A section. So for the student judges, you may first deliver your questions.
Good morning, Niar.
Good morning.
Ask you, in your opinion, why the errors of modifications become the dominant error in this drama, in this episode? Thank you.
Okay. So, the error modification become one of the most dominant error because, in my opinion, the translator have a problem to fully understand the script, so it led to some misunderstanding, and he or she makes some modification which produce some unclear form. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. So the next judge, you may deliver your questions too.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Niar. Can you hear my voice?
I hear your voice.
Oh, yeah. I would ask, why do you choose Akil's theory of error analysis in your research?
So why I choose Akil theory? Because it is the most suitable theory for my research, since the data for my research focus on the Indonesian translation sentences which translated into English.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth.
Hi, Niar. Niar,
Iya, halo.
my question is, why do you prefer to analyze an English translation in the Indonesian drama Rumah Kasih in the last episode than another episode? Is it because in this episode there were more mistakes than another episode? Thank you.
Okay. So I choose to analyze the final episode of Rumah Kasih because they only provide the subtitle on that episode. So the other episode, there is no subtitle on it. That's it. Is it answering your question, Dinda?
Yes, thank you, Niar.
Thank you, Dinda, for the questions. And for the last judges, you may deliver your questions too.
Can you hear my voice? Hello?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So from Sapira, could you explain more about error of modification? So Another example, perhaps. The another example for error of modification could be seen. I'm sorry, but I can provide you any another example because I only analyze those 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 error, the sample, so I can provide you another sample.
Okay. So thank you for the judges for the questions. Now let's move to the audience questions. So for the audience, you can just ask through the chat room or turn on your microphone. So we already have question here from the audience from Septian Rido. So he asked that based on your analysis, there are error in modification and error in deviation. So in modification part, you mentioned that the word must should be translated because if it goes like that, it will confuse the target reader. But then in deviation part, the word ka gets omitted. My question is why those two analyses which have same idea getting different analysis?
Let me think for a second.
Niar, your microphone is off.
Hey, actually, for those two analysis, is it have some idea? I guess no. Actually, I'm a little bit confused with your question. Could you please simplify it? Rido and Angelin Harjono, based on your personal opinion, what can be done to minimize those errors? What can be done to minimize those errors, in my opinion, is translator should be enrich their knowledge. So translating is not about word to word, but they also should concern to the culture. Thank you.
So thank you, Niar. So for the audience, is there anyone who would like to ask a questions? If there is no questions, then we will move to the next presenters. Anissa Ivonda, once again, thank you, Niar. So Anissa Ivonda will be delivering her paper. Oh, okay. So Septian Rido is still asked a question. So, Niar, the question is, the word mas and ka both have the same idea, which is brother or sister, but they got different analysis. So is that a question or? So Niar, would you please turn on your video?
Okay, Mora.
So Septian Rido mentions that the word mas and ka both have the same idea, which is brother and sister, but they got different analysis. So
Different
why?
analysis because I just
Yeah.
I make it different for the sample. That's it.
Okay, Septian, is it answering your questions? Okay. Thank you, Septian. So now, if there's no more question, we will move to the second presenter, Anissa Ivonda, who will be delivering her paper on comparing YouTube subtitles in two different versions of Taylor Swift's Lover song lyrics, a study of subtitling strategy. So Yvonne, the screen is yours.
So good morning, Sir Harris, and good morning, my friends. First of all, I'm going to say sorry because my bad quality of the camera, but I have no any option, so I'll go like this. Uh, so, how's your morning, friends? I hope you are feeling good, happy, and healthy as always. I'm Yvonne, and today I'm going to present my paper. The title is Comparing YouTube Subtitles in Two Different Versions of Taylor Swift Lover Song Lyrics, a study of subtitling strategy. First of all, I'm a bit nervous and excited at the same time. So if I speak like too fast or like blabbermouth, you can just ask me so I can just repeat it. So let's get started. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So this is the background. The background basically just like the main reason why I took this case as my study case. We just live in, I mean, like nowadays internet is just like the essential part of our life. Like we cannot live without it. But I'm gonna specify this on the YouTube platform and basically on the music realm. So this is just so common if like a person from other side of the world just like so into music from another side. It's just like a common things nowadays. So for example, we just love like the pop music from America, and that's us. And the other problem is somehow people just like, I mean, like the people that listening to the music they like somehow just like, okay, I just wanted to listen to the music and just like enjoy the music and the lyrics, but some people are just the opposite. So they just wanted to, okay, I want to know what is the meaning of these lyrics. So that's why bilingual and multilingual people try being a bridge by translating in from source language and target language. And based on my quick research, I found it that mostly are not to be sung. I mean, like the translated version, it's mostly just to be like, we just know the meaning of the lyric. I think, yeah, that's the background. I mean, like the main reason. And then the benefits of study. First, to develop critical thinking and to broaden people knowledge, especially those from English language department background about subtitle strategy, as reference for future research or learners, and lastly, as a contribution to the field of translation studies. Problem formulation, what types of strategies are applied in two versions of Taylor Swift Lovers lyric subtitling. So from this, then I'm gonna like, after I found out the strategy, I'm gonna like make a decision based on my understanding to just like compare which one is more reliable, something like that. And objective of the study is studying and analyzing the subtitle strategy of both translated version from mode on channel and easy up music channel based on Gottlieb's 10 classification, then comparing the both version in order to know which one is more acceptable. So why I choose these two channels, because this is like, I mean like these two are the most viewed and the most subscriber one than the others. So actually there are like five or four translated version of this song. And method of the study, I'm sorry, like I forgot to put it on my paper, so I put it here. Qualitative research encompasses library research and explicatory research. Library research involves identifying and locating sources that provide factual information or personal expert opinion on the research question. And explicatory research entails a careful, close, and focused examination of a single major text or a single complex event in attempt to understand its aspects. And this is the data collection. First, I listen to the board version and to the original version as well, and I read the lyrics too, and then I type it down. I make it like categorize them in table, like translation one in its group, and translation two in its group, and the original as well in its group. And then I started analyzing it by using Gottlieb's theory, and then result and conclusion. So this is the 10 classification of Gottlieb's theory. First of all, it is probably like our previous friends, just like Keisha and Ilham, also use the same theory. But I just want to add that our explanation of the meaning of the theory not exactly the same. Probably because we are just using the different edition. I use it from 1992. Probably our friends just use it from 1999 or so on. So yeah. First, transfer. Transfer refers to the strategy of translating the source text completely and accurately. So the simple is what is written in the source text should be written as well in the target text, or it should be like synthetically same. So I took this example from my own data. So if you have any doubt or curious about why I choose this, you can ask me. You can ask me later on. For example, here, we could leave the Christmas lights up to January. So the translator translate it precisely and accurately, same in the source line. Second, expansion is used when the original text requires an explanation because of some cultural nuance not retrievable in the target language. For example, a bit more explanation requires an explanation could be like we gave some extra explanation in parentheses, or we use like we gave extra words to make it more like understandable, or it could be just like this in example, memanggil. Here the call, and in the translated version memanggil with quotation mark. So we use quotation mark as I on internet. It is like the meaning it's beyond the actual, I mean like the meaning of this word is beyond the literal meaning of this word itself, because we have this quotation mark which is indicates something that probably the translator just wanted to indicate that okay, don't receive it as a memanggil itself, but you probably should dig it yourself, like what is the meaning of memanggil. I mean like more deep the meaning is. I hope you get it, guys. And the third is paraphrase, is resorted in cases where the phraseology of the original cannot be reconstructed in the same syntactic way in the target language. For example, here, so the phrase, the phrase strategy, paraphrase strategy happened in word crash. You probably may question, okay, why crash is paraphrase here? So I also read in some paper that paraphrase could be happen because like the translator wanted to make it compose the line or the text in a easier and understandable way. So we use the word they can like more yeah, more easier to understand by the readers. For example, here, crass. Crass actually from the dictionary, I mean like the Oxford Dictionary, I will read it from this. It is mean that vehicle accident, the loud noise, the finance or business, and the company. So basically, there's no any word describe the berpesta, but we have loud noise here. So what is loud noise? If we say loud berpesta, it also can relate to the loud noise. Why? Because a party people, of course, having a fury of five. So this is just like the near synonym of crass. Yeah, that's, I hope it is understandable, friends. And then condensation refers to the shortening of a text in at least obtrusive way possible. So this is used to happen when the translator consider this is not really important. I mean like, okay, if I cut this part of the text, it is not gonna, I mean like, it's not going to give a significant effect to the meaning of the whole text. For example, here, in the original line there is an interjection but in the translated version the translator just cut the interjection so yeah, I analyze it as a condensation. And next, decimation is an extreme form of condensation, perhaps for reason discourse speed, even potentially important elements are omitted. So I think, I mean, like, decimation used to happen in the movie. Why? Because somehow the characters just speak too fast in over lengthy words, while the translators should adjust it with the screen and the period of time. So that's why somehow the translator need to just like cut it as maximum as possible, but try to keep the gist of the message itself. But it is, I mean, like, probably somehow just not really appear in the song. So I put the example from this movie Hazel and Gretel Witch Hunter. We don't talk about that, tak usah dibahas. But you know the, I mean like how we can differentiate with it between decimation and condensation is in here somehow elements parts are omitted. Yeah, it's indicated that this is decimation. And next, imitation maintains even the same forms, typically with names of people and places. For example, welcome to Jolly Old London. So this is like proper noun, imitation. And seventh, transcription is used in those cases where the term is unusual, even in the source text. For example, here, this is our rule amigo, which is Spanish, yeah, I think so. And then it is translated to teman, which is the translator just translate it from Spanish to English, and then translate it as well to Indonesian, the third language or nonsense language, the keywords of transcription. And dislocation is adapted when original employs some sort of special effect, for example, a silly song in cartoon film, where the translation of the effect is more important than the content. For example, this, I think the keyword for this is like a silly song in cartoon movie. Yeah. And then deletion refers to the total elimination part of the text. So total elimination part of the text. For example, this actually there is a line in Taylor Swift's song that not, I mean like that wasn't translated by the bot translator. Example is this. And the last, resignation, describe the strategy adopted when no translation solution can be found and the meaning is inevitably lost. For example, here, serif. So in Indonesian, we don't have like the equivalent word of serif probably. So the translator just put serif as serif here. And funding and discussion. So actually there are like 31 lines in the Taylor Swift song for a total, but I just took 4 first lines. I'm going to explain the code first. Is L stands for source language, L for lover, the title of the song, L1 for line 1, and this is the time period of the lines appear on the screen, T1 for translation 1, and T2 for translation 2. Okay, so we could leave the Christmas lights up to January. Kita dapat membiarkan suasana Natal hingga Januari. This is paraphrase. Why? Because Christmas lights actually has equivalent word as a lampu Natal, but the translator chooses to translate it as suasana Natal. I think that because so we as a reader could get like clear image about the context in the song. So if we just probably if just transfer as a lampu Natal, then we just imagine as a lampu Natal. But if we translate it as a suasana Natal here, we imagine that, okay, what is suasana Natal? We have the Christmas tree, we have the ornaments, we have the gift and stuff. So just like the image is most wider and clear. So this is paraphrase. And in the second, that is kita bisa membiarkan lampu Natal menyala sampai Januari. I mean, precisely, accurately, same to the source language. So yeah, this is transfer. Second, this is our place. We make the rules. Both are use transfer. The only difference is like the choice of words, yeah. Because here, this is in this, di sinilah tempat kita for the first translation. While in the second, inilah tempat kita. From both two, I think this one is more casual rather than this. Is my opinion. And the third line, and there's a dancing has a mysterious about you there. Dan translation one, dan sebuah kabut yang menyalakan sesuatu yang misterius tentangmu kasih. So the other thing about condensation is somehow we couldn't just notice it that, okay, I think certain part is just omitted in this line. For example, here, there's like, in this condensation happen in theirs, the translator just eliminated theirs and just translated and just translated as dan sebuah kabut yang menyalakan suatu misterius tentangmu kasih. While in the second translator also used condensation as well. It could be seen in this, I mean, the article A. So the translator just eliminated all the article A in the source language. So I analyze it as condensation. And the fourth, have I known you for 20 seconds or 20 years? First is expansion. As I explained before, expansion is you can just like put extra word just to explain the meaning of the source language. So here the translator just put selama here. Actually, oh, I'm sorry guys. Selama here. Actually, there is no like any words here. Any word here indicates word selama here. Or you probably may question, what about have? Okay, have here is replaced by apakah. So selama here just support like the have, since have is just like perfect tense, like we know that it's telah, sudah. So, but I think there is no like any words describe selama. I mean, like any equivalent word to describe selama in the source language. So the translator just put it and to make it more understandable and easier to us to as a reader to get it the meaning. While the second translation, I mean, the second translator just translated it precisely as in the source language. Apakah aku mengenalmu 20 detik atau 20 tahun? So that's why this is strategy. I'm sorry, I mean like the strategy is transfer. And conclusion, there are various strategies found in the both version of second and first and second translation and as follows. First, I'm sorry, like there are 5 transfers, 1 paraphrase, 1 condensation, and 1 explanation. So this like the result of the analysis, and based on this analysis, the research couldn't make decision. I mean like the final decision yet because there are still 26 lines that need to be analyzed as well. But so far, both translator are doing their best, and their expect result. First translator easy up music channel is more acceptable than second translation. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention.
So thank you, Yvonne, for the presentations. Now we will move to the Q&A sections. So for the judges, you may deliver your questions now.
Okay, Yvonne, I want to ask you, in the expansion theory of expansion discussion, what kind of explanation of cultural nuance that's not retrievable in the target language of your example? I still confused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nafi. A second, I'm gonna share screen again. In the discussion section, yeah. Is this what do you mean?
Expansion discussion.
So this is like expansion here.
Yes.
Okay, so is there any, I mean, excuse me, Nafi, could you repeat it to me?
In the expansion discussion, what kind of explanation of cultural nuance that is not retrievable in the target language of your example?
Okay. So actually, there's no any, I mean, like cultural nuance that is not retrievable in the our target language, but the translator here just puts lama to make it easier. I mean, like to adjust to our cultural background, our knowledge background. For example, in Indonesia, we like to use selama if we talk about the time period or the timeline, like something like that. So like sudah berapa lama and stuff. So the translator just put it not just because there is no any what is it retrievable nuance in the target language, but more like to adjust it to our cultural knowledge. For example, this is also fine if we translate it as this, but this is also fine to just like make more sense. I think that's my answer. Nafi, what do you think?
Okay, I'm clear now. Thank you,
Thank,
Yvonne.
thank you.
Thank you, Nafi, for the questions. So the next judges, you may deliver your questions too.
Hi, Yvonne.
Hi.
I want to ask you, why do you choose Taylor Swift song, especially the Lover song, as your object? That
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ruth. So this is just my own opinion. I mean, like when we wanted to do some project that we consider this is heavy and just gonna like take your energy, we should just make sure at least there is something that could make you like to do that. So I choose this as my object because my own interest. I like the actress, I like the song as well. And at the end of 2019, if I'm correct, this song was so booming and crawling onto Indonesia. So I think this is gonna be like the good object for me as my thesis, undergraduate thesis object.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth, for the questions. The next judge, you may please deliver your questions too.
Hi, Yvonne.
Hi.
Okay, my question is, based on your analysis, what are the similarities and the differences between the two translations? Thank you.
Okay. So this is just 4 lines from 31 lines. So I couldn't make any like final answer yet. But as far as now, I can say is the similarity between these two translators are both of them try to do their best. I mean, like I believe they try to translate it as good as possible as what they believe. That's the similarity. And while the differences, oh yeah, from the 4 line, for I mean like the total is 4 lines, and we can see that the second translator just put I mean like three transfer strategy from the 4 lines. So while this first one is just like more like variative, like the translator not just like stuck in one strategy. So I could say that the second one like to use transfer the most, while the first one is more variative. I think that's all, Dinda. I hope it can answer your question.
Okay, thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
So for the last judge, Safira, she asked that how will you determine whether a subtitle is reliable or not?
Okay. Thank you, Sapira. So, since we are English learners, I mean, we learned about the how to translate a text in classroom too. I do believe that we have the knowledge of translation, even it's probably just a bit. So if we see the translate the original line, I mean the original text and the translated version, we could just notice it. Like, okay, I think this is not fit the context. Oh, okay, probably it's just this word is not really good to describe to as equivalence for this word, something like that. So I also feel that, but it is just like your own opinion. I mean, your own understanding. It's not really strength to you to make any determination, or I mean like to make any decision of to choose like this is one more reliable from this. So I took Gottlieb theory to just like the Gottlieb theory to support me, just like to strengthen my arguments and my understanding. So yeah, how you will determine whether the subtitle is reliable or not from Gottlieb theory and my understanding as well. That's all. I hope it answered your question.
Thank you, Yvonne, and thank you, judges, for the questions and answers. Now, we will move to the audience. So we already have questions here from Angeline. She asked that, why is transfer strategy mostly used to translate the lyrics?
Okay, so why? From these two translator, do you mean like from this song or in general? Oh, okay, I think it's probably from this song because I present this song as my case. Okay, I'm sorry. So I think this is just like the translator knowledge background. Probably the translator just want to, okay, I should keep is that this is like similar as possible to the target language. So I'm not going to add or put any words. So that's why probably the translator just goes like as similar as possible to the source line, and then it will be like it will use transfer strategy.
Okay, thank you, Yvonne.
You are welcome, Angel. Thank you too.
Okay, thank you, Angeline and Yvonne. So, is there anyone who would like to ask another question? If there's no more questions, then we will move to our last presenters. Once again, thank you, Yvonne. So our last presenters, Theravany Vanessa, who will be delivering her paper on the translations of idiomatic expressions in Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the Sword of Summer, a study of equivalence. So Theravany, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mora. Okay, good morning, Pak Aris. Good morning, friends. Today, I'm Theravany Vanessa Yenata. Today, I'm going to discuss my paper entitled The Translation of Idiomatic Expression in Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the Sword of Summer, a study of the equivalence. Before we go to the discussion, let's move to the introduction. So as human beings, we need to communicate with each other. In order to communicate, we need an important tool called language. Language is used to deliver or to express something from one to another. Languages over the world are different, and it may have a different form, dialect, accent, culture, or background. And these things make people from different backgrounds may have difficulties talking to each other. Therefore, translation is needed to make people communicate with each other without a language barrier. So translation, as a process based on get word, is always unidirectional. it is always performed in a given direction from a source language into a target language. In translating, the text should be translated as natural as possible so it still has the same feeling as the original text. So some English texts are translated into other languages. In order to be able to translate the English text, the translator should understand some aspects of the text so the message or the meaning of the text can be delivered well. For example, like idiom, things like idioms need to be seen carefully. And idiom, according to Peter Remark, is a group of words whose meaning cannot be predicted from the meaning of their constituent word. Uh, so the translator needs to know whether this expression is an idiomatic expression or not. Some idioms are easily spotted and some are not. So the translator needs to pay attention to it, and instead of translating it word by word, the translator should find the proper words to translate it into the target language. And then so in this discussion, I analyzed this book. The Sword of Summer is a book written by Rick Riordan. He is the author of Percy Jackson. It is a fantasy novel based on Norse mythology. Idiomatic expression in this novel will be analyzed since the author uses a lot of idiomatic expression in this novel. I'm going to analyze both the English version and Indonesian version. So let's move to the problem formulation. What the problem formulation is: what types of equivalents are found in the translation of idioms in Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase and the God of Asgard, the Sword of Summer. And the objective of the study to analyze the equivalence of the idioms that is found in Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the Sword of Summer, based on Ynez's theory. So this discussion is going to find out which equivalent type that the translator used to translate the idiomatic expression, and the equivalence theory that will be used is Ynez's equivalence theory. Let's move to the theory. So equivalence, according to Ynez, there are two different types of equivalence. These are formal equivalence and dynamic equivalence. The first one is formal equivalence. Formal equivalence focuses attention on the message itself in both form and content. So formal equivalence aims to reproduce the target text as meaningful as the source text. For example, the idiom empty-handed here is translated into tangan hampa. So the idiom is equivalent because it has the same meaning and they have the same form. And then the next one is the dynamic equivalence. Dynamic equivalence seeks for naturalness and it does not focus on the form. The form does not matter as long as it sounds natural, but the meaning still has the same meaning as the source text. For example, here a red alert is translated into bahaya, which sounds more natural and it doesn't have the same form as the source language. Next is the methodology I used in this paper. I used First, I use library research method. It collects and uses material which are related to the subject of the study, such as books or journal, which is deliver expert opinion in order to get some theories. And then the second method is I use also qualitative research method. I collect it collects data which are idiomatic expression found in the novel and its Indonesian translation, which later analyzed to find the idiomatic expressions equivalence type. So before we start the discussion, I will tell you the data I have. I have 10 data in the paper, but I will show you only 5 data. And for the dynamic equivalence, I have 3 data, and for my equivalence, I have 2 data. So let's discuss the dynamic equivalence first. The first data is taken from page 11, but there was a lot of bad blood between the 3 kids, Randolph, Frederick, and my mom. It is translated into, tapi hubungan ketiga kakak beradik Chase, Randolph, Frederick, dan ibuku memang tidak akur. Here, the idiom bad blood is translated into tidak akur. According to Oxford Learner's Dictionary Online, bad blood means feeling of hate or strong dislike. Bad blood here, if it's literally translated into Indonesian, it can be darah yang buruk, but the translator chooses not to translate it into the same form in Indonesian, but to translate it into words that sound more natural, which is tidak akur. According to KBBI, akur means cocok atau sesuai, or it means match. So if it's tidak akur, so meanings doesn't match. The translator choose not to translate it into tidak akur to show the relationship between Magnus family is not that good. And the translation of the idiomatic expression here shows that dynamic equivalence is applied. Next. The second data is taken from page 66. Learning random stuff just to pass the time in a warm, safe place. It is translated into belajar macam-macam sebagai pengisi waktu di tempat aman dan hangat. The idiom pass the time is translated into pengisi waktu. So according to Merriam-Webster, pass the time means to let time or a period of time go by, especially while doing something enjoyable. The pass the time is translated into pengisi waktu. According to KBBI, the pengisi means barang yang diisikan or to fill in. So the translator uses to fill in instead of to pass. So the translator also here pengisi waktu is as a noun, while pass the time is as a verb. So it changes the form. So the translator doesn't maintain the form, but still using other words that still has the same meaning as the original one. So it can be categorized as dynamic equivalence. And then the next data, it is taken from page 114. He saw what was going on and went nuts. It is translated into dia melihat apa yang terjadi dan sontak menggila. So here, the idiom go nuts is translated into sontak menggila. According to Merriam-Webster, go nuts mean to become mentally ill, to become insane, and to act in a way that is what are out of control because of strong emotion. Here, nuts can be translated into gila as an adjective or kacang-kacangan as noun. So since Indonesian people commonly know nuts as kacang-kacangan, it can be translated into nuts can be translated into pergi gila atau pergi kacang-kacangan. And then the translator translates go nuts into sontak menggila, which is the most suitable one, since menggila means going crazy, and it doesn't have the same form but still has the same meaning. So the dynamic equivalent is applied in this idiomatic expression. The next one is the formal equivalence. I have two data here. The first data from formal equivalence is taken from page 39. But it warmed my heart that they wanted to look out for me. It is translated into tapi hatiku terasa hangat kala menyaksikan bahwa mereka ingin menjagaku. So according to Merriam-Webster, warm my heart means to cause someone to have pleasant feelings of happiness. The translator does not translate it into some expression that shows happiness, but instead the translator translates it into the similar form, which has the same meaning too. So here it is translated into hatiku terasa hangat. In KBBI, you can search hangat hati, which means suka hati, happy or delight. So it can be categorized as formal equivalence because it still has the same form and has the same meaning. The last one, it is taken from page 78. Well, they don't take teens seriously, even if the teens have been here hundreds of years longer. It is translated into mereka tidak menganggap serius anak-anak remaja, sekalipun anak-anak remaja itu sudah di sini ratusan tahun lebih lama daripada mereka. So here, the idiom take someone or something seriously is translated into menganggap serius anak-anak remaja. According to Merriam-Webster, take someone or something seriously means to treat someone or something as being very important and deserving attention or respect. The translator chose not to translate it with other expressions that show importance and seriousness of taking something or someone, but still carry the same meaning. So here it is translated into menganggap serius anak-anak remaja. It still has both the same meaning and the same form. So the conclusion here, from 10 data analyzed, there are 2 which are categorized as formal equivalence and 8 that are categorized as dynamic equivalence. So dynamic equivalence is the most used equivalence because Indonesian does not really have much some expression as English idioms. Some are also too weird or doesn't fit it if it has to be translated in the same form. So the translator translates the idiom in a more natural way by paraphrasing it, but still maintain the main and maintain the meaning. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Thera, for the presentations. Now let's move to the Q&A sections. So for the judges, you may deliver your questions now.
Hello, Tera.
Hello.
I'm just curious about your opinion. If you were the translator, what kind of translation you would use to translate the idiom of pass the time from data page 66, and why do you choose that kind of idiom translation? Thank you.
Okay. So if I have to translate the idiom pass the time, since it is a verb, maybe I will. Well, I can say it's a verb, but maybe the form is still the same. I will translate into menghabiskan waktu. I don't have a particular reason, but maybe because yeah, it sounds like a verb, so I will translate it into a verb too. Instead of like the earlier one, it translated into as a noun. Wait. Sebagai pengisi waktu, so I will translate into menghabiskan waktu. I hope that
Okay.
answers the question.
Okay, thank you, Nafi, for the questions. And we will move to the next judge. You may deliver your questions too.
Okay. Hi, Tera.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, why are you interested in analyzing idioms? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm interested in translating idiom because it is interesting to know whether this idiom expression has the equivalent in Indonesian or not, since we don't really have, or we don't really know if we use an idiom or not. So it's interesting to know if we have the same equivalent with English idiom, or because sometimes English idioms are used by the native and they are not knowing that they are using the idiom. So the same as Indonesian, the same with Indonesian idioms. Like we sometimes use it and we don't know that we use an idiom. So I think it's interesting to know if we have the same idiom, or to know if this is an idiom or not. I hope it answers the question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, for the questions. And now, the third judge, you can deliver your questions too.
Okay, Tera. My question is, why did you choose to use Nida's equivalence theory to analyze the idioms that you found in Rick Riordan's books? Thank you.
Okay. I choose Nida's theory because as far as I know, for translating for equivalence theory, we have also Newmark theory that is similar with Nida's theory, but I think Nida's theory is more suitable for translating idiom because it seeks for naturalness, since Nida seeks for naturalness and Newmark seeks for like no Newmark focus on the text. So sometimes if it is for Newmark theory, I think that it it can like put the source language culture into the text target text. It can put the culture into the target text. So sometimes the reader of the target text cannot really understand. But if I use Nidar's theory, because it seeks for naturalness, so maybe the source text and the culture from the source text can be translated into the target text with the target text culture. So I think it's more suitable for translating idiom because it seeks for the naturalness itself. I hope it answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dinda, for the questions. And for the last judge from Safira, she asked that aside from what you have wrote on your paper, is there another reason why you choose to examine the idiomatic expressions in this book?
Like what I said before, I want to know whether this English idiomatic expression has the equivalent in Indonesian. Yeah, as the equivalent in the Indonesian. So I want to know if Indonesian has the same idiom as the English idiom. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Safira. So, thank you for the judges for the questions. And now we will move to the audience questions. So, we already have questions here from Fabiola. So, she asked that does idiomatic expressions and idioms are the same?
Okay, as far as I know, it's the same thing. That's all. I think it's the same thing.
Okay. Thank you. So, for the audience, is there anyone who would like to ask the questions? Well, if there's no more questions, then I guess this is the end for today's event. Once again, thank you, Tera. And thank you for all the presenters and the participants for joining us today. And also, I would like to remind you not to forget to fill in and submit the peer grading. And once again, thank you very much for all the participations. And we will meet again in the next seminar next week. So see you.
Saat engkau menyakitiku, mengapa semua terjadi di saat tapi ku tak sanggup lagi. Tapi ku tak sanggup lagi. Setelah sekian lama baru ku menyadari mengapa ku selalu menahan rasa sakitku. Ingin ku hapus saja semua dendam ini, tapi rasa tak mungkin lagi. Biarkan ku pergi, karena aku tak sanggup lagi mengingat semua kenangan dulu di saat engkau menyakitiku. Mengapa semua terjadi di saat kau mulai menyadari semua kesalahanmu padaku, tapi ku tak sanggup lagi. Sekarang engkau mulai berubah, namun rasa tak mungkin lagi. Biarkan ku pergi, karena aku tak sanggup lagi mengingat semua kenangan dulu di saat